All right, let's dive into Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. This is a book that really tries to get at one of the oldest human questions out there. If life is so full of suffering, and it is, then how in the world do we find the will to live it well? The book's answer? Well, it's not about trying to avoid the pain. It's actually about building the strength to face it head on by finding this really delicate balance between two huge fundamental forces. And look, this isn't just some abstract philosophical question, right? This is a deeply personal one. Every single one of us experiences pain and loss and anxiety. They aren't bugs in the system, they're just features of being alive. So the real question is, how do we build a life that can actually withstand all the storms that are inevitably going to come our way? The book argues that the very first step is to just understand the fabric of our reality. And that reality, according to Peterson, is basically a constant tug of war between two primal forces. It's this conflict that he says defines every single moment of our lives, this eternal dance between what he calls order and chaos. So what does that mean? Well, order is the known. It's the comfort of your home, the stability of your routine, the map you're following. And chaos, that's the unknown. It's the unexpected, the territory where literally anything can happen. And here's the thing, we need both. If you have too much order, life gets rigid, stagnant, boring. But with too much chaos, we are just completely overwhelmed. The sweet spot, the place where we actually grow and find meaning, is right there on that fragile border between the two. And this brings us right back to that core problem, because life guarantees suffering. Living on that border between order and chaos can be, terrifying. To handle all that anxiety and pain, we need a really powerful purpose. We need some kind of deeply held personal meaning to act as a counterbalance. Without that, the sheer weight of being alive can become just unbearable. So where do you even start building that kind of meaning? Well, the book takes us to a pretty unexpected place, the bottom of the ocean. The argument is that to really understand our own complex human anxieties, we first need to look at these ancient biological systems that we share with a surprisingly relevant creature. Yep, meet the lobster. These guys have been navigating social hierarchies for over 350 million years. That's way longer than us. And their nervous systems, while way simpler than ours, run on some of the same basic chemicals, like serotonin. So by understanding how they react to winning and losing, we can actually get this incredible insight into our own deep-seated reactions to success and failure. Lobsters are super territorial. They fight each other for the best shelters, and these fights create a really clear dominance hierarchy. You get winners who get the prime real estate, and you get losers who are basically forced to the margins. It's a pretty brutal system, but it's effective for sorting out who's on top. And this slide right here shows you the neurochemical reality of that whole system. When a lobster wins a fight, its brain gets flooded with serotonin. It stands up tall, it looks confident, it's ready for the next fight. But the loser's brain? That tells a totally different story. Its serotonin levels just plummet. It slumps over, looks defeated, and it's way less likely to fight again. Now, this isn't just about crustaceans, okay? This is a primal script that plays out in our own lives every single day. That ancient circuitry, the one forged over millions of years on the ocean floor, is still running inside your brain right now. It's this incredibly powerful force, and it's shaping your emotions, your posture, and even how you see your place in the world. But here's where we humans have a unique and kind of dangerous twist. We don't just lose fights with other people. We can turn that judgment inward on ourselves. We are painfully aware of all our own flaws and all our own failures. And this quote really highlights our capacity for self-contempt, this uniquely human ability that can be a powerful force for keeping our own serotonin levels chronically low. And when you feel like you're at the bottom of the pile, your brain and your body respond in a very real physical way. As you can see here, your stress levels shoot up, your immune system gets weaker, and you're just more likely to get sick. That ancient internal status detector is constantly monitoring where you stand. And if it thinks you're losing, it can trigger this whole cascade of devastating consequences. So what's the way out? I mean, if our own biology is wired for hierarchy and suffering, are we just doomed? The book's answer is a hard no. The antidote isn't to try and change the whole world or dismantle the hierarchy. Instead, it's to take radical responsibility for the one single domain you actually can control: yourself. And this brings us to one of the book's most fundamental rules, really the foundation for all the others. And think about it for a second. We are often so much better at taking care of our pets, making sure they get their medicine on time, than we are at taking care of ourselves. This rule is a direct command to apply that same level of care and diligence and responsibility to your own life. So how do you actually do that? The book lays out a pretty simple 4-step process. First, you just identify what's bothering you. Second, you ask yourself, honestly, could I fix it? Third, you ask, would I fix it? And if the answer to both is yes, then step 4 is do it. But if not, you aim lower. You find a smaller problem until you find something that you both can and will do. The absolutely crucial point here is to start small. Don't try to fix your whole life at once. Maybe it's just organizing that pile of papers you've been avoiding for months. Every small act of bringing a little bit of order to your personal world is a step in the right direction. It builds momentum, and it proves to that ancient part of your brain that you can, in fact, make things better. This whole idea of confronting small, manageable problems, it's beautifully illustrated in a simple little children's story that gets right to the heart of the book's message about taking responsibility. So the story is about a boy named Billy, and he wakes up one morning to find a small, cat-sized dragon in his room. It seems friendly enough, but when he tells his mother about it, she just dismisses it, saying, "There's no such thing as a dragon." And because the dragon is ignored, it starts to grow. First, it eats all the pancakes at breakfast. Then it starts eating the furniture, and pretty soon it's so big that it fills the entire room, forcing the family to climb over it, all while still pretending that it's not even there. And eventually, that ignored problem becomes a full-blown catastrophe. The dragon grows so large that it actually lifts the entire house off its foundations and just carries it away. Their unaddressed issue has now literally uprooted their entire lives.
It's only when Billy, who is finally fed up, confronts his mother and insists, "Mother, there is a dragon," that things start to change. The very moment the problem is named and acknowledged, the dragon immediately begins to shrink, all the way back down to its original harmless cat-like size.
This story is just such a powerful metaphor for the book's central message. The problems we ignore, they don't just go away, they grow, and sometimes they grow to monstrous proportions. But when we find the courage to actually face them voluntarily, to turn and confront them, they often shrink right back down to a size we can handle. So the real question is, what small dragon in your life are you refusing to see?